Hello and welcome to episode number 327. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. I'm Cornelius Fichtner. Welcome. You don't necessarily have to manage a social media project in order to recognize the benefits of using the tools of social media project management. Furthermore, being a social media project manager is also more than simply publishing a few project updates on Facebook. In order to really reap the benefits, social media has to be a fully integrated and planned part of your project's communication management strategy. How to use and when to use social media on your project is at the center of my discussion with Bill Dow, whose book, Project Management Communication Tools, includes a whole section on social media tools for our projects. Are you PMP certified and want to earn 37 PDUs quickly and for less than $5 per PDU? That's no problem with the Agile Prepcast. It not only prepares you for your PMI ACP exam, but also qualifies for a ton of PMP PDUs. Log on at agileprepcast.com/PDU for the details. In our discussion, Jeff and I will review mapping social media tools to project communication tools, determining which tools to use on your projects. Then we also look at which tools can we use in which project phase or in which process group, and also when to bring on a social media expert for help. Finally, before we get going with this interview, we are of course giving away one copy of the book on our Facebook page at facebook.com/pmpodcast. I'll give you all the details in the closing remarks after the interview is over. And now, in 140 characters or less, how much are you looking forward to enjoying this interview?
The Project Management Podcast's feature interview.
Today with Bill Dow, PMP, author and PMO lead.
Hello, Bill. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, the new version of your book is out. How much time did you invest into doing the update?
Wow, it's quite a bit of time. I would say maybe 12 to 14 months of every night and every weekend, just around the clock.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And let's see, the book that we spoke about last time was called the Project Communications Bible. Was that it, right?
Yes, that
and
was
this
it.
one, yeah, and this one is now Project Communication Tools. What's the big difference between the two?
We've actually added a ton of new sections and chapters. We've added Agile Project Management. We've added a number of communication tools around Agile, meetings, Agile tools, Agile meetings, burn down charts, just a ton of activity there. We've actually added social media as well. Social media has come up in great bounds from 2008 when we first did the book to now. And so we've added social media and project management. We've added a brand new topic, project management business intelligence. And this is really around all the data that project managers have and how do we create dashboards and what do we do with all that data within all the tools that we have. And then finally, we added some PMBOK questions. We stood just to project communications. So we actually added 10 questions and answers, of course, of the most, the tools that, or the questions that actually will come up the most often. So it gives a reader a good feel for what some of the communication questions would look like.
Right. Out of those four, which of these proved to be the hardest to write about and why?
I would say the social media.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good that we're talking about it a little more afterwards.
Yeah, the reason is that social media, there's just not a lot out there. Everyone is trying to do so much on social media and there's tools popping up all the time and project managers are just chomping at the bit to use it. And so when I was doing my research and really looking around and stuff, there just wasn't a lot out there. And so I think I added a pretty neat spin and a pretty good spin on how project managers should use it. And I've documented that all within that chapter.
Okay, so I love the fact that you are covering social media in the book because I myself, I have a social media presentation, and I travel the world with that presentation, how to use social media on your projects. Why did you decide to include that topic in the book? What was the driving factor behind it?
It's just so hot. It's just I run a PMO office now. I've done so for many years. My project managers, especially the younger ones, are really looking to, what do I do? How do I use social media in my tools? Some projects it's very valuable. You can totally use it, and some you just can't. And so I was really, really eager to kind of get some messaging out there and getting people to think on how we can use some of these great tools that are out there.
Okay, let's go deep into social media. That's the idea behind our interview here. And I see that you have mapped social media tools to project communication tools. Fabulous concept. Why did you do that?
I think what motivates me the most is really helping people think about bridging those two worlds. For example, when project managers are dying to use social media on their projects, they need to know when to use it and what tools are most relevant. I also feel like describing how PMs would use the tools would be helpful as they execute through the project. So my table that I produced there is really that one-stop place where you can go to through initiation, through planning, through executing, controlling, and you can see exactly what tools to use and where to use them.
And how do you walk them through using social media on their projects? How do you help project managers?
Yeah, I think you have to start with why you're communicating. And what we look at when we look at why we're communicating, we look at the 5 main purposes. We look at inform, persuade, motivate, interact, and inspire. When you take those 5 methods into consideration and then you look at the tool, you can see exactly, am I trying to inform with this tool? Am I trying to persuade? Am I trying to motivate? Does that make sense? So mapping those communication tools, communication purposes is really the purpose of that tool. And that's how I help people walk through that process.
Okay, so inform, persuade, motivate, interact, and inspire.
Yeah.
Right. And I then assume there are specific tools and specific approaches for each of these 5 stages.
That's it exactly. So for example, I would say a business case. A business case, you would inform, you could persuade, and you could inspire with a business case.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've taken all 61 tools that I have in the book and I've mapped them to those 5 main communicating purposes.
Okay. And have you found that project managers are actually confused about what tools they can and cannot use on their project, in particular when it comes to social media here?
Yeah, 100%. I have PMs coming up to me all the time saying, I want to use social media. What can I do? Especially the younger PMs, right? They're very eager to share information. They're posting to Facebook. They're posting to Twitter. They've got social media on their minds all the time. And now they're managing a project. They're going, hey, can't I post this? Can I post this up? Now think about some of the different projects. Of course, right? If Coke is launching a new drink, of course they're going to go to Twitter. They're going to go to Facebook. If Boeing's launching a new plane, of course they're going to go do that. But again, that's that inspire and that motivate. And so these project managers are desperate to start using these tools, and they just don't know what tools to use.
Mm-hmm. That's an example for communicating towards the outside. What about using social media towards more of the inside, within the project team, within your company?
Yeah.
Do you offer tools there as well?
Yeah, I put some suggestions of some of those types of tools as well. There's Yammer is a great example of that. It's a social media tool, but also has, you can store files. And so, yes, I've put some of those examples as well. Facebook has private groups. You can use that for internal. So again, depending on the project and depending on the tools, I definitely have mapped some of those same scenarios.
Right. One thing that I notice when I give my social media presentation is that, yes, project managers, they want to know how to use social media, but one focus is also online collaboration. Mm-hmm. So, that which is part of social media, right. Really. Do you cover that in the book?
I do. Yeah, I certainly do. So, for example, let's just take Facebook, for example. Initiation, where you can make announcements, you can talk about the project, the product, whatever it is. Planning, you can store files, have private conversations, share project information. Executing, same thing. Monitoring and controlling, same thing. And then closing, you can make announcements. So I've literally have gone through all of those stages and for every particular, for the majority of the main tools out there. Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, blogs, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would a project manager use your book in regards to, learning and using social media? Is it a checklist that they can follow from start to finish, or is it just something, you read through the social media chapter and then you apply what makes sense? How do you help them?
Yeah, great call. So yes, what you're going to do is you're definitely going to read through the chapter. You're going to look at this inform, persuade, motivate. You're going to look at those 5 reasons, and then you're going to start looking at that tool, that table that I produced where it maps social media tools to communication tools using those 5 inform, persuade, motivate. So that's exactly it. So once you start thinking in that way, you can start applying those thoughts to the particular tools and then to the particular social media tool. So I've got a great table that kind of marries those 3 areas together.
Mm-hmm. In your research for this, did you find that project managers are hesitant to use social media?
Yeah, they definitely are. There's a little bit of hesitance around what can be posted. And what I've done and what I suggest strongly in my book is check with your legal team. Make sure you check legally what can be put out there. So there's a little bit of hesitance around legally what can be published, but no, definitely the younger and the more motivated kind of social media conscious people, project managers, they are certainly trying to get out there and use those tools. They're out there anyway, right? They're out there Facebooking and Twittering and blah, blah, blah. And so, now they're saying, hey, what can I put out there from my project?
Yeah, exactly my argument here as well. The new generation is coming. They are at the doorstep. They want into our projects. And if we don't use social media, if we don't use online collaboration, they're going to walk away. It's like, why don't you use this? This is so normal.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to get on top of it. That's why I wanted to put that mapping, and I wanted people to think about inform and persuading and motivating. Because I think once you think in that mindset, you look at your tool, and then you look at the social media tools out there, that marrying of those 3 ideas, if you would, will really help people figure out what to put out there.
Okay, so we have the social media mapping to the communication tools mapping, but you also have a mapping the social media tools to the process groups.
Yeah, I did.
How does that help me?
Yeah, so every project's going to go through initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing. And so that's exactly what I did is I took Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, and I literally put the table together to say, when I'm in initiation, here are the tools, and here are some of the things that you can do. When I'm in planning, when I'm in executing and controlling, and when I'm in closing. So again, Coke is starting a beautiful brand new drink. They're initiating that project. They're going to be all over Twitter, all over Facebook, all over Instagram, right? Okay. But they may not be while they're executing and they're planning the drink and they're executing and they're building the drink. They may not be posting that. But they will when they close it. They will when the drink's available and they can go out there and start selling that. So you've got to look at the various stages of a project and say, hey, I'm excited. I want to tell everyone about it. And then I go do the work and then I close and I want to go tell everyone about it again. Mm-hmm. So I walk the readers through that concept across the various tools.
Okay. Just to be safe here about your book, because we focused mainly on social media right now. It is not social media tools for project managers. No. It is project communication tools. Yeah. And social media is just part of this.
Just part of it. I just started to marry the 2 worlds. Yes, there's 61 tools, project management communication tools in the book that are there available. And it's just like the Communication Bible, just a major update.
Right. And how much would you say out of the book is roughly social media focused?
Oh, it's just a small.
If you had to make a guess.
Yeah, 5% maybe. It's just a.
That makes sense because percentage. it is a new and coming area.
Yep.
So
just a small percent.
Yeah. Finally, I got a 2-part question for you here to close this out. You also included some advice around hiring a social media expert for the project and into the recommendations you have, and you listed the good set of roles and responsibilities that you would expect such a social media expert to perform. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's really, really important to have an expert that really gets social media, right? As we think about our larger programs and our larger projects, that we just can't have project managers willy-nilly sending stuff out there. We've got to have people that are, interacting with the community, know exactly from legal what they can put out there. And so I really wanted to say, as we see the trend and project managers and projects are becoming more social and start using the tool, I really start to think that you do need a social media expert on your team. And so some of the responsibilities would be around monitoring social network sites, interacting with customers, developing content, researching industry trends, but being that person that the project manager can go to say, hey, let's post something about my new drink or my new plane or my new operating system or whatever the case may be. And that person would directly be connected with legal that would allow that information to be put out there. I just can't stress enough how important that having a legal aspect and not just posting everything from your projects out to the internet. That's just not a good thing to do.
Right. Okay, so we talked about Coke, we talked about a new plane, we talked about major projects here. And so that's part 2 of my question here. What type of projects do you actually think need a social media expert? Because if you just have a small project with a small budget, but you want to make it public, do you need one? How do you work it?
Probably not. Again, major corporations will already have some of these social media experts in place that you can refer to. Smaller companies may not, but smaller companies would still have that legal side of things that you would want to bounce off someone. And so when I think about a social media expert, I also think about, that tie to the legal department, just ensuring that people are not publishing something that they shouldn't. So no, smaller companies, smaller projects probably don't need it, but they do need that legal aspect. And larger corporations, larger projects most likely already have these people in place and therefore could be a VT member, if you would. So someone that's part of the project, but not really part of the project.
All right. I said I have a 2-part question for you to end this. I've already given you the 2 parts, but another question popped into my mind. And so let's close with this one here. Let me throw this out for you. Let's assume our listeners are now into this thinking, you know what? Yeah, I may not be the next Coke or I may not produce a plane, but we could use social media on our project here. What would you say is the first step that they should take tomorrow in order to bring social media onto their project?
Go through those 5 steps. Understand why you're trying to communicate. What are the purposes for communicating? What do you want to get out to the world, right? Once you put it out on social media, it's out there. Are you trying to inform someone, motivate someone, inspire someone? So think about it from that component and then think about what you're trying to, and then what tool you would use. But I would go down that 5 main purposes perspective. I'd go down that path first.
Okay, so that's, again, inform, persuade, motivate, interact, and inspire.
Yep.
Okay. Once again, the book is called Project Management Communication Tools. It is written by William Dow, and you also have a co-author, Bruce Taylor. It is published by Dow Publishing LLC. Yes. Oh, it's self-published.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. It is 738 pages thick, and of course you can find it at Amazon and any good online bookstore.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And that was our interview with Bill Dow on social media tools for project management from his book, Project Management Communication Tools. And as promised at the start, we are giving away 1 copy of the book to you, our listeners. If you have a paid subscription to our premium podcast, you don't have to do anything. You're automatically entered into the giveaway. Everyone else, please go to facebook.com/PM podcast. Look for the book giveaway announcement and simply follow the instructions. We will close the Facebook giveaway about 3 weeks after we first publish the interview that you just heard. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please do tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we actually have nothing. Looks like we've run out of these humorous quotes. Got any? please let me know. Thank you. Until next time.